Hey guys, welcome. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to find the inverse of this 3 by 3 matrix right here. And we're going to do it using what's called an augmented matrix. But before we start that, let me remind you that we already found the inverse of this 3 by 3 using the definition of the inverse of any n by n matrix. So I made a video that showed you how to find the inverse of any n by n matrix. And we took what we learned there and we applied it in a specific 3 by 3 example where we worked with the same matrix here with the same 9 entries. So we know the answer to this, but this time we're going to use, I guess, what we can call the method of the augmented matrix for finding inverses. Okay, now what I'm about to do can be done on a 4 by 4 or 5 by 5, hence why I said it's the method of the augmented matrix for inverses. As opposed to 3 by 3 inverses. Anyway, let's get started. And to start, your first step is always to draw your very first augmented matrix, where on the left side will be your given matrix. And I'm getting away from the square bracket so that I can draw quicker and I don't have to use a ruler. So yeah, that's that. And so on the left side of the augmented matrix will be the given matrix. So we can write that quickly. And yes, you heard me right. I said the left side because augmented matrices have left and right sides. And the right side of our starting augmented matrix, in this case, will be the 3 by 3 identity. So that'll be 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, and 0, 0, 1. So if you're doing this for a 4 by 4, then here on the right side will be the 4 by 4 identity and so on. Okay, cool. So we start here and then do what? Well, we use elementary row operations, and the whole task, so big picture, is using elementary row operations. We got to get the left side to look like the right side here. So that is, we got to get the left side to be the 3 by 3 identity matrix, and we're allowed to get there using elementary row operations, which I assume you're familiar with. And of course, when we do elementary row operations on the left side, we have to also apply it correspondingly to the right side, as you'll see me do. All right, cool. So pretty simple, right? Pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's say that our next move then, by the way, your moves don't have to be exactly like mine, but I chose to go this way. And that is, my next move is going to be 2 times row 1 and then plus row 3. And this move is going to affect only row 3. But what I'm doing is taking twice row 1 and adding it on to row 3. So only row 3 will be changed. And so then we can write the first 2 rows of our augmented matrix pretty quickly, because only row 3 will change. So that means we still have the same first 2 rows. And that is, we have this, and that's a 5 right there, by the way. Okay, cool. And so what happens to row 3? Well, we're doing 2 times row 1, so that makes positive 8, 2 times 4, plus negative 8, so plus row 3. So that gets us a 0 here, so that's why this move is wise. Cool. And then we've got negative 10 from 2 times negative 5, plus 9 is a negative 1 here. And then we've got negative 4 plus 3 is a negative 1 right here. Cool. And then the right side, again, the first 2 rows of the right side will not change because, this move only affects the 3rd row. So we go 1, 0, 0, and then 0, 1, 0. And what happened here? So twice row 1 means that's a 2 plus row 3. So 2 plus 0 means we've got a 2 right here, and then we've got a 0 here, and then we've got a 1 here. Yeah? Okay, cool. So this is what that did. It's a start. We got a 0 there. So let's keep making more zeros on the left side, right? All right, so what move is good next? I don't know what you're thinking, but for me, row 1 minus row 2 is pretty good. And this is going to affect row 2, so I'll have to change row 2. But row 1 and row 3 will stay intact after this move. And by the way, from here on out, when we say row 3, it's this row 3, no longer that row 3. Because, row 3 has undergone some change. It's a new guy now. Okay, cool. Anyway, this move, as I said, only affects row 2. So we can write row 1 quickly. And then row 2, how has it changed? So it's row 1 minus row 2. So 4 minus 5 has us writing a negative 1 right there. And then minus 5 minus a negative 6 is minus 5 plus 6. So that's a 1 there. And the minus 2 minus a negative 2 is a 0 there. That's why we wanted this move. And then row 3 doesn't change. So 0, negative 1, negative 1. And then, I moved my paper. Didn't mean to. All right, so here, and then corresponding changes on the right side. What will they be? What will they be? What changes? All right. So on the right side will be, again, row 1 is unaffected. So 1, 0, 0. And then row 2 is definitely affected. So it's 1 minus 0, 1. 0 minus 1, negative 1. Very important that you are paying attention to details like that. And then 0, and yeah, so the third row is unaffected. So 2, 0, 1. All right. So what next? Again, I don't know what you were thinking. For me, I was thinking this. I guess this is our third step. So my next step, 4, I thought would have been good to do as 4 times row 2. 4 times row 2 plus row 1 plus row 1. Let's see. Let's see what this does. So this does this. This affects row 1, so we got to pay attention from the get-go. 4 times row 2 means we've got negative 4 plus 4 when we add it onto row 1, so that's a 0 right there. Nice move. And then yeah, I'm congratulating myself, I suppose, so I should not do that. So that's 4 plus a negative 5. That's a negative 1. And then we've got 0 and then a minus 2. So I'm going to start writing this quicker. So minus 2 and then, well, yeah, that's all for this, and the other rows aren't affected. So we could write negative 1, 1, 0. And I guess I get away without a ruler. Maybe it's just about right. Okay, and then row 1 is changed, right? How has row 1 changed? And you can think about it a little bit more, but I'll write it quicker. So it's 5, negative 4, 0. The other guys are not changed, so 1, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1. Okay, cool. So what about next move after this? I think next move for me is number 5 is negative row 1 plus row 3, which is going to affect row 3. And let's see what this does, right? Okay, so this is going to mean that we have the same first 2 rows. So 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 1, 1, 0. And then what happens in the third row? I get 0, 0, 1. Nice. That's an improvement. And then I guess my vertical bar. And then on the right side, what happens? We still have the same first 2 rows. So 5, negative 4, 0, and then 1, negative 1, 0. But third row is going to change to negative 3, 4, and 1. All right? Okay, cool. What next? So a lot of moves, huh? So next is, let's do number 6 to be 2 times row 3 plus row 1. And this is going to change row 1, right? Okay, cool. We've been through this before. So right away, we got to pay attention. And what will happen is 0, negative 1, 0. And the others are unaffected. So negative 1, 1, 0. Okay. And then on the right side, we'll have negative 1, 4, 2, and then 1, negative 1, 0, and then negative 3, 4, 1. Got it. Okay, so what's next? Number 7. Number 7 will be row 1 plus row 2 for me. So row 1 plus row 2. And I think this is a good move. And what'll that do is this. 0, and this is going to affect row 2, right? So 0, negative 1, 0. And Then we'll have negative 1, 0, 0, nice. And then we'll have 0, 0, 1, and the third row has settled in nicely for us. Yeah, let me be a little, since I don't have like a guideline on this part. Right there. Okay, cool. Like, and yeah, and then on the right side we'll have negative 1, 4, 2, and then we'll have 0, 3, 2, and then we have negative 3, 4, and then 1. Yeah? Okay, cool. Alright, almost there, guys. Right? This is looking nice, like almost getting there, right? Okay, so now I'm going to do negative 1 times row 1, so negative of row 1, and then I could do this as two separate moves, but I'll just do it quickly. So all I'm saying is I'm multiplying I'm multiplying row 1 by a negative 1, and also multiplying row 2 by a negative 1, and that's clearly so that I get a positive 1 there and a positive 1 there, because none of these guys are negative. And if I did this, then we'd get this from our last step, which is both of these guys will be positive, and these guys here in row 1 and 2 will change to the opposite sign, right? So I have 0, 1, 0, and then 1, 0, 0. And again, I could have done this in 2 steps. I just wanted to be more efficient. Mindful of your time and my time, yeah? Okay, so on the right side, right, will be, sorry, moved my paper. On the right side will be, again, the opposite of the first 2 rows. So 1, negative 4, negative 2, and then 0, negative 3, negative 2, and then negative 3, 4, 1, right? Okay, cool. And then it's pretty obvious what I should do next. And what I'm going to do next is swap row 1, and so swap rows 1 and 2, and we're allowed to do this. So when we swap rows 1 and 2, look at what I've got. What I'm gonna get is this. What I'm gonna get after this move, right, is the following. I'll get 1, 0, 0, and then 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. Yay! And look at the right side. The right side is going to say, let's see, what's the right side going to say? It's going to say 0, negative 3, negative 2, and 1, negative 4, negative 2, negative 3, 4, 1, which is, this here, is the inverse of this matrix A. Yeah? Okay, sorry, I got a little too excited, moved my paper a little too much, perhaps. But you get it. Okay, cool. So we just succeeded in finding the inverse, and like I said, you can use this method more generally, like for any n by n matrix, yeah? Okay, cool. I hope you enjoyed this, and equally importantly, I hope it was helpful. Take care.